Hello and welcome back. It's great to have you here. We are starting a new zoo, the South America Zoo. Yes, we're gonna have the two series ongoing in parallel, the Tundra and the South America Zoo. I don't know, I just love the South American biome, and I thought this would be a very interesting build to unleash creativity, so I hope you like it. I am planning to include many animals from South America, including the Giant Anteater, capybara, of course, the 9-banded armadillo, which is super cute, the giant Galapagos tortoise, the llama, of course, an emblematic animal, the jaguar, and the sloth. Plus other animals like, here I have my list, let me check it, it's the capuchin monkey, the maned wolf, and I will also include some exhibit animals like the Amazonian giant centipede, the boa constrictor, the green iguana, and I have many other plans for this zoo, for this build, so I'm super excited to be introducing it right now, to be sharing that with you. This is the first episode where we build the entrance. This is, I think, the most detailed entrance I've built so far, and I do hope you like it. I tried to make it as close as possible to the Amazon River. That was my main inspiration, and it took me a while to research. I searched for different images on Google, like the Amazon, the rainforest, the river, and what the riverbed looks like. I think you will like the end result at the end of this episode. We're gonna have a tour of what it looks like. Right now I am creating the basic layout and the path. Here we are in the video, so let's just talk a little bit about what I'm doing here and my plans while I'm building it, because I know how hard it can be to start a zoo and actually not know how to structure your entrance or how to make it look realistic or natural. So I hope you will find some tips and some inspiration here from this video. Let's talk about what I'm doing here now. As always, I will be combining narration with speed builds with background music, just so you can have some variation during the video, because it is quite a detailed build and the video takes some time. So I do hope that you stay and you enjoy watching how I build this step by step, and you may get some ideas for your own builds in Planet Zoo. So here I am just creating the river. Yes, it doesn't look like a river, but this is actually a tip that I learned a while ago, and it's that you can use these plaster pieces and sink them into the ground where you want your river to be, to actually modify the terrain around it. Because remember that with water you have some limitations for the terrain around the water, but if you want to make your riverbeds look more realistic, you can just use these pieces as a reference, change their color to a contrasting color, sink them to the ground, and then continue shaping the terrain, so you know actually what it will look like when it has some water in it. That's how I made the shape of this river. It is super helpful to actually see the shape, because sometimes when we have the same paint in the terrain, we don't really realize what it will look like after we add the water. So I don't know, I just really liked this technique and I've been using it since I learned it a while ago. So you can see kind of the shape that we're taking. It was supposed to be a continuous river, but then I just thought that would be, I don't know, I just didn't want to add so many bridges around that, so I made three separate sections, but they are supposed to look like one river, so they will look consistent and with the same style. Here we are creating the actual entrance. The entrance is like a cave. That was the vibe that I was going for. It's like a cave and it will be covered with rock. You will see that in just a moment when I start actually building that. But here I just thought the river didn't look so realistic. It looked like a little bit too wide. So I started making some interesting shapes and actually working on the elevation around the river. So let's do that, and I will be right back when we actually start covering the entrance with rocks. here we go. This is where I start to actually add some rocks around it. And you can see that the terrain over the path, I made that with the stamp tools. If you just drag the stamp tool, the cube, over the path, and you have it on a height that is actually higher than like the hitbox of the path, it will create some terrain on top of it, and that is super helpful to create some caves and some terrain on the path, above the path. Here I am adding some rocks, and I will actually keep some of that terrain at the top to add some plants and to make it look like more natural, because in South America there are some mountains that are flat at the top, and they are called Tepuy in Spanish, and they are emblematic, so I just wanted to capture that essence in the entrance. They have some terrain at the top, and they are completely flat, and they have rocks on the sides, and they have like grass and trees growing on top of it. That's what I was going for. I have some small rocks here for the detailing and for making it look more realistic, and then in a future episode I will also be adding some lights, because right now the guest will enter a completely dark cave, and that could be nerve-wracking, really. Here I am using the technique of creating like a group, and then I sync the rocks as a group, and I think that gives us some randomness as well. I'm using random rotation for the rocks, and then I start adding some grass, some plants on top of the roof. So let's do that, and I will be right back. Awesome, so now that we have our entrance, you can see that I'm going back to the river. I work like in an iterative process where I go back to things and start making them look nicer. Here I am starting to build a sort of like a temple-inspired entrance. You will see what it looks like at the end, but I'm basically using the pieces from the South America pack to build something like an entrance that looks sort of like a ruined temple. I use some thatch pieces for the roof, and I use these walls, the stone walls. I do have some trial and error over there of what looked like. I ended up choosing 2 arches, and then like decorating those arches and creating like a temple. Then I used some grid pieces, but let's see what I end up with. So let's go to the speed build, and I'll be right back when we finish this temple. I do think it's looking good. Hi George. I always use George, as I like to call it, the scarecrow, which you can find in the habitat items. You just filter the list by scarecrow and you will have something to use as a reference for the size, because when I started building in Planet Zoo I ended up creating huge things because I didn't have a sense of the scale. And then I learned that awesome trick of using the scarecrow, which is actually the size of a guest or a person in Planet Zoo. So that's why you will see George, as I like to call him there, as a reference when I'm building. So here I am adding some foliage and some rocks to the entrance. I was really excited about this build and I wanted it to look as natural and as realistic as possible. I wanted to give that Amazon vibe. I also used some plants that are not from South America in the entrance and in some parts of the zoo as well. I just wanted to add some more variation. But in the habitats, I try to keep it as close to the real biome as possible. Here I'm also adding some planters. I personally like flowers and colorful flowers very much, and I use them all the time when I'm building these zoos, and I do like to include them in the planters. You will see me working on that, and I also have a central piece that I built afterwards in the main plaza here in the entrance. I'm also using a lot of trees as bushes. You will see me sinking many trees in the ground to use them as bushes and fill the empty spots and also block the area, because in the Amazon in South America there are many different trees in the rainforest, and usually you will not be able to see past a few meters because the vegetation is just so dense that you don't have the opportunity. Something like this, something like you can see here. You have many trees and you don't see past that. It's just amazing, beautiful, and it's full of biodiversity. So we have a lot to do in the zoo for South America, and I'm super excited to work on this. Here you will see me become a little bit obsessed with a detail of how to cover that triangle over there. I try to find a shape that would actually fill that, but nothing that I quite liked for that, so I ended up actually using a shape, a colorful shape over here, and I think I really liked that because it added some color. I ended up using a purple color there, and I don't know, I think it worked and I liked it. It added something a little bit different beyond that gray color. Here I am starting to fill the entrance with these bushes or sunk trees, and I also use the explore mode a lot to see what it's looking like. I don't want any gaps or any empty parts that wouldn't look like the Amazon, so I'm using the explore mode a lot, and we will see a tour in the explore mode at the end of the entrance and the main plaza. Here you will see how I'm choosing trees of different heights. There are some trees that are huge, massive, because we also have them in the Amazon. They're amazing. And we have some smaller trees that we may also need to include to make this look realistic. Here, since I already have the entrance ready, I don't have the plaza yet, but we will do that in the next few minutes. I'm starting to actually work on the terrain paint. I kind of experimented a little bit with that between rock, dirt, and grass to make it look realistic without pushing the bar too far. I mean, I don't want everything to look like dirt and I don't want everything to look like grass, so I try to find a balance between that and the riverbed, so you will see me working on that in the next few minutes and also filling everything here with foliage. with trees and with palm trees, which I really love from South America. And I'm also covering some of the edges of the path with leaves, and you will also see me using the decal or the moss to create like that transition between the dirt and the path. So here I'm adding some colorful flowers from South America. They are indeed from South America and I just love them, so I had to include them. I'm also using some grass that I'm sinking into the ground to make it look more realistic. That is a trick using the buffalo grass. It looks amazing and you can use it basically anywhere. Here is where I'm using what I just told you, like this decal, like moss, and I'm changing the color to make it look like some dirt that may be on the path. Once I find the color that I like, I just include it in the terrain, and from the top it just looks like it's blending correctly. So let's do that and I will be right back. And over here, yes, it's time to create a central piece for our plaza. This is like the main decoration, or the central piece, I think that would be the right way to call it, for our plaza. And you will see how I am initially working it to be... Initially my thought would be a triangle, but then of course the sides did not match, so then I just filled the gaps with planters. And you will see how I create this. I'm using the benches from the South America pack, and I would like to mention this, kudos to the Planet Zoo team. I love the benches and the bins and everything that you designed for South America. It's just colorful, full of life, and it represents the animals, the emblematic animals. Like in the benches we have the anteater, which is a beautiful animal, and actually the first animal that we will include in the next episode. So stay tuned. Here I wanted to add a fountain in the middle, in the center, so I added this fountain with the llama sculpture. Yes, we are going to add llamas to our zoo, so why not include them and highlight them here? They are unique animals from South America. I'm also adding some special effects with the special effects items. I'm looking for the right one there because there are many different special effects. I really liked these ones, which are like small. I'm not sure if I finally chose the small one or the medium one, but they worked. Here, I'm trying to see how I'm going to fill the gap. Initially, I used mulch, but then I decided to use rocks. And these ultimately worked like a charm. I do think they blended nicely with the path, and I didn't sink them, I just filled the gaps with that, and I think the pebbles looked really nice. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this centerpiece. Once we have that finished, it will be finished in just a few minutes because I changed the color and then I also filled the planters, and that's basically our centerpiece. Let's see. I'm excited to show you this because I really liked how it looks. I'm quite proud of this central piece. So I look forward to reading your comments, reading your feedback in the comments. Do you like the centerpiece? Would you do something like this in your zoos? Like, do you like the flowers in the planters, or would you go for a more natural look? The creativity aspect of Planet Zoo is amazing, and everyone can have different opinions and different ways of approaching and decorating things. So just feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Here you can see this. It's always helpful, as a tip, it's always helpful to create a group and then just move the items in a group. Here I am relocating the central piece actually because when I built it, it was like too close to the entrance, and then I kind of changed my mind and I wanted it to be like on the center, on the wider part of the plaza. So that's what I am doing here, and I had to move the benches one by one. And then here I'm adding some tables with their corresponding canopies. So they are, again, another thing that I love about this pack. Just look at the tables. The tables are beautiful. They have the jaguar, and the canopies are also decorated, and they are flexi-color. So again, kudos to the team. Thank you so much for everything you do every day for the Planet Zoo community. Here I'm also adding an information center. This is vital. We have the umbrellas, we have different items, we have everything that our guests may need. However, we still need to decorate the river. I am still like focused on the plaza, but I think at this point I started working on the river. Yeah, I started focusing on the river and testing the water. Now I am getting rid of the plaster pieces and actually adding the real water there. But you can see how much more realistic this looks compared to actually adding the water at once, because I couldn't have actually modified the terrain if I had the water there. With the plaster pieces, it's just much easier. I changed the color to the Amazon preset, and I think it looks nice. It looks like the I'm not sure if dirty is the right word, but like the characteristic water of that area, the muddy water. I think that's the right way to describe it. And here I am doing my best, and I think I really like the result, to cover the area as much as possible with foliage and plants and rocks. Here we have some mossy rocks, and on the rocks I'm using a lot of palm trees. And well, let's just see this in the speed build, and I will be right back when we finish our Amazon riverbed. now our Amazon River is looking like an Amazon River, I think, at least the first part. This is, of course, it takes quite some time to actually get the plants and the foliage right and placing them, so I started with the left part of the river, and now here I'm working on the right part of the river, and I'm adding some water plants. They are super nice, super helpful, and they are really in the Amazon, so if you ever want to create this type of biome, I totally recommend adding them to your water elements like lakes and rivers. Here I am almost ready creating the actual Amazon biome look. The river, I think it looks much more realistic than it did when I started, and it's actually quite different. This is the second time I actually narrate a speed build, and it's actually quite interesting to see the build process from a different perspective. Like, I did that, but I did it some time ago, so it's just amazing to see this. Here I am actually creating like a platform where people can see the Amazon River that we've created from a viewing gallery of some sort. I'm thinking like this, and I'm covering this with plants so it's nice and bushy and just really dense vegetation when people get in, and they have a totally immersive experience there. Here I'm also adding like a sign for people, and the sign will say Amazon River in case they want to experience the Amazon River up close. Here we have the immersive experience, and over here I see that I have some terrain on the sides that is not actually looking good because it's floating. So I'm covering that with rocks at the base, with mossy rocks, and then I add some plants on top of those rocks to make them look like they have grown there. And I'm also adding some benches. I add this here to protect people from the sun. And I'm also experimenting with some vista points. Here I add a vista point to see the landscape or the horizon. And I also add some educational elements because I think that zoos have a key role in education. So you will see me adding a lot of education boards, educational elements in the zoo, speakers and talks. And actually, we will be adding educators in an upcoming episode once we have the habitat ready. Here I'm relocating the table. I don't know, it just seemed too close to the entrance, and I usually like symmetry, so I try to be as symmetric as possible. Yeah, the two tables on the left are not symmetric, but maybe I will move them in the next episode. And I don't know, symmetry is just something that I love when I build, and I would like to keep it. Next, I'm going to build a sort of like a complement to the centerpiece, which is going to be a floral arrangement with a tree at the center. So we have some mulch. Like this. Awesome. I'm also adding some barriers here in the centerpiece, just in case people tend to walk on those decorations in the plaza. So just in case, so no one will walk on top of the planters or the rocks or anything else that we have there. But I'm not putting them in front of the seats so people can actually sit on them. Hello and welcome. Yes, welcome to the South America Zoo. You are our first guest and I will be your host on this tour. We are in the entrance where we have really dense vegetation to give you that South America vibe. Here we have George, our beautiful scarecrow that is there to help us. Hello George, we will be right back. Great, so here we have our central plaza, which may still need a little bit of work, but it's on the way. We have our abandoned temple, and if you want some information about the zoo, some umbrellas or anything, here we have the information center with our really nice staff or vendors who will be very glad to help you. Yes, and then we find some tables in case you are tired from walking, but you only walked like 5 meters from the entrance, so please do not sit. Just joking. Great, so here we have our beautiful benches themed from the Giant Anteater, and that is a hint of what the next episode will be about. We will be building a habitat for the Giant Anteater. So stay tuned and subscribe to get the notification when I publish this new episode. We will be building the zoo step by step, and you will see this and maybe you might get some ideas or inspiration from it. Great, so here we have our tables, we have our central floral piece, and after that, yes, we have some tables. Maybe I'm going to add some more decorations here in the plaza. We will see what it looks like when we actually have some walking guests and how full it looks. And here I will give you a VIP view of our Amazon River. Normal guests will not be able to see this or walk through this, but you are, because you are having a VIP tour with me, the zoo owner, the zoo manager. Awesome. So after we go to the river, it's time to actually take a look at the Amazon River from our Amazon River viewing platform. So let's go into this. I'm not really sure why I put the sign over there instead of the other way, so people who are entering the zoo will see it, but well, maybe I will move it in the next episode. And here you will see that we are actually having a deep immersion into the Amazon biome. Just look at this. The color of the river, the dense vegetation. We have some bins and benches, and in the benches you can just sit and enjoy the view and the surroundings. We have a vista point so you can see here, and if you have kids, they can also have fun while you are enjoying the view. Awesome! This is just... It looks amazing. Thank you to the Planet Zoo team for creating these wonderful representations of the plants. The plants are really essential in Planet Zoo for recreating any biome, in addition to the animals, of course, but the plants and the flowers are just beautiful. So here we are looking into the future. This will be episode 2 of the series. We will be building a habitat for the giant anteater over there down the path that you are looking at right now. Stay tuned, I will be sharing that on my channel, and I will be sharing a post when that video is launched. So I hope you liked this build. I'm very excited about the South American series. So thank you for watching and have fun playing Planet Zoo. In the next episode, remember the giant anteater, I promise.